Welcome to Leamington Spa Art Gallery Museum. It's very exciting to be here today. It's only the second time I've been in since we had our period of lockdown, and it's lovely to finally be back in the space. As you may know, we closed the building at the end of March, and it was quite a significant week for us because we have been doing the changeover for our exhibition, Making Histories, which never got seen and is now open and will be open until the end of the year. But in that 3-week changeover period, we also change over our displays. And so there are 2 displays, which I'm going to tell you about today, which also haven't seen the light of day, and we're very excited now to be finally opening to the public. One of those displays is our Spotlight display, and it's devoted to the work of Simon Lewty. Now, Simon Lewty is an artist whose work was already in the collection. This is a piece we've had for many years. It's from 1991, and it's called The Men Who Lie in the Road. It's actually a piece which has often been on display. When it hasn't been on display, it's often been requested. We have students often wanting to come with their tutors, and so many times I've opened up the stall so that people can come and have a look at it. Lewty is an artist who lives in Leamington. We've had the pleasure of getting to know him over the years, and in fact he did a lovely Friday Focus right at the very beginning when we first started doing these talks. And he talked about a piece of ceramic that's in the collection. And he referred to the walks that he did when he was walking across Old Milverton, and it's that area that is in this, depicted in this picture here. So Old Milverton is an area of Leamington, a sort of hamlet that's kind of adjacent and sometimes sort of referred to as being in Leamington. And it's an area that he knows very, very well. And he talked about walking across the fields and sort of finding within the clay little shards of ceramic and things that refer to a life that happened there in the past. And it's that sort of history that he's referring to in this picture. These works from the 1990s are the ones that have been most associated with Lewty's work. And they're built up in quite a distinctive way. They're often referred to as being a little bit like medieval maps. And the surface that he works on is quite parchment-like. And so you certainly get this sense of history. One of the elements that I really love about it is that you get this sense of layering. So not only is the way he builds up the paper, which he uses tissue paper and sort of builds it up, and has said that he didn't really feel he knew at the beginning how it was going to end at the end. It's a very much a process that he works through, and it's quite organic. But also there's this sense of layering of images. You get a wonderful sense of not just having these quite bizarre characters that you get here, which are kind of half feel like real things that we recognise and half feel really bizarre and quite dreamlike, sometimes almost a little bit nightmarish. But also you get overlaid, you've got text, you've got images, and you've got these areas that are a bit like graffiti, and they're all quite different. They sort of appear to be done by somebody different. You could have several different authors here, several different artists all overlaying. And you get this idea of a place that is both in the now, and that there's this sort of this life, this past life that is all one and is all part together. So it's an extraordinary piece. This was the only work that we had in the collection at the time when he first had an exhibition, actually in 1999. But then in 2016, we decided to have another exhibition of work by Simon. And so we worked on that, and that has led to the acquisition of some works which are in our Spotlight area. But there are 2 pieces which we had which referred directly to that, and I'm now going to show you those. So before I move away from this picture, I'm just going to show you a few details here. One thing Lewty has said about the reason he likes including text within his works is because you have to get close to the picture surface to read the words. And I think viewing from close up is something that's very important about his work. So in the Spotlight area display, we have included 2 other pieces that we have owned since in the collection since the Men Who Lie in the Road was acquired, and they're 2 preparatory pieces drawn on tissue paper which show how he has built up the layers and how he did that work, and they relate directly to it. Now, the Spotlight exhibition was put together to celebrate the fact that following an exhibition that we had of Lewty's work in 2016, we felt that we really wanted to represent the work that he'd been doing since the 1990s. He has worked in a way which has developed from that, but it is quite significantly different, and we felt that we wanted to represent it fully. So we applied for some funding from the Arts Council and the V&A Purchase Grant Fund to buy one of the pieces that was shown in the exhibition. The purchase was also supported by our friends group, FLAG, and we were delighted to acquire Innocence Speaks of Light in Ways, which was painted in 2012. At the time we acquired that, we were also very lucky to be given two artworks. One was from the artist himself, which is abstract script, which was done in ink and crayon on paper. And the other piece was from the art dealers with whom he's worked closely for many years at Art First, Claire Cooper and Benjamin Rhodes. And they gave a giclée print made in 2010. Now, both of these works, along with Innocence Speaks of Light in Ways, show Lewty working in a way where he's really moved over to looking at script. They're incredibly beautiful pieces. They're all quite different. The way he works with script is different in each one. Sometimes it's very, very loose. In abstract script, you can see how he's working. It's almost like handwriting, also quite colourful, and you get that sense of overlay like you do in The Men Who Lie on the Road. In Act in here, Instinct from 2010, that print is much more formally written, and sometimes you have a sense that these pieces are maybe like a contract or a piece of formal writing. Sometimes they seem like something which is really quite loose and quite sort of instinctive. So the way he uses text is very visual. It's interesting that he's always maintained, although he uses script, he's a visual artist, and he's using script in quite a specific way. And talking about this display at this particular point, as we come out of our strange period of lockdown and go into another slightly strange new normal, I feel that actually looking at his work is a really contemplative and quite a calming experience. That sense of being close to it and of sort of having quite an intimate relationship with those actual artworks and seeing them close up is so important, and they're works that are worth giving time to and entering a sort of that slightly contemplative, slightly almost dreamlike, instinctive place. And I think right now having this display here feels very right, and I hope that it's something that people enjoy coming to see and appreciating the work of this wonderful artist. So, having looked at that spotlight display of calming work by Simon Lewty, we'll move over here to a display that we have in this area near our hammam, which is called Diane Arbus and Me. Now, this display relates to the exhibition we had of work by Diane Arbus, which was at the end of last year. It was a group of works that are owned by Artists' Rooms, which is run by both Tate and National Galleries of Scotland. And it's one of the best collections of Diane Arbus's work that exists, put together in conjunction with her family. We were delighted to have that exhibition, and we ran a series of workshops and activities and a campaign actually that was called Humans of Leamington, that went right out around the town and involved photographs being put into wonderful spaces around town. One of the projects that we did that related to the show was working quite closely with a group of students from Warwickshire College. They took their inspiration from Diane Arbus's work and produced their own pieces that responded to that. And so these works have now been put on display here. They're going to be up until the end of the year. Originally this display was obviously meant to open back in March, so we're delighted finally to have it open now. The students themselves came and assisted with the display going up, and it was all coordinated by Tanny Woodrow, who is one of the exhibition and collections assistants who works here and did a wonderful job working with Paul Crook, who is the tutor for the foundation course. So we're delighted to have these works here. They really do respond very significantly to Arbus's work. They are showing people, sometimes people they know, sometimes people that they focused on in a way that emulates the way she did, where she got very close. One of the significant things about her work is she really broke down barriers. She worked particularly in a decade, the 1960s, and she sadly died in 1971. That decade really changed the way that people looked at photography. And instead of something that was a little bit more formal and objectifying, she really got to know her subject, and she started to peel away the layers so that you could really feel that you know those people. And she had this idea that she wanted to photograph everyone. And so they've taken those ideas and in very different ways explored them. And so the works that you see along here are really fascinating ways that people are responding to her work now and making it very immediate. And in a way that, in a time when we really look at photography as something that's on our phones, it's everywhere, it's fascinating to see how students working now are responding to those ideas. And this work is very much now. She's an artist very much for now. So for me, it's been an absolute joy to be back in the gallery today, looking at these artworks. I really hope that you're able to come and visit soon and to enjoy them with us in what is the new normal. Thank you.